Hey everyone! So, this video is going to be a little bit different from what I usually post. And depending on how I like it, I might post more, and also depending on how you guys like it. I've always been intrigued with storytime videos, and you can thank Jaded Animations for getting me hooked. But I have to give credit where it's due to the Starfish Face. I got really into her story and art series, and I thought I wanted to try. First, to give you all context of what I'm drawing, this is my second version of my up-and-coming webcomic. I'm making cover art for my webtoons. My first attempt, I wasn't a huge fan of it, so I decided to remake it, and this is the one I liked. I won't get too much into talking about it just yet, because I'll explain more later in the video. For this story, I need to start from the very early beginning, in the year 2021. It was near the ending of the pandemic, and I was hardcore stuck in my Minecraft 2 Electric Boogaloo phase. I was catching up on the latest videos of vintage beef, and discovering new people through the Hermitcraft server, like Grian and Gemini Tay. Then I got hooked on the infamous SMP everyone all knew about back from 2020. But there was one in particular who stood out to me, and I especially latched onto. Technoblade. I binge-watched all of his live streams from that series, and I even became active in his chat. I also gravitated toward Philza Minecraft because of Techno. I loved watching Philza create his hardcore Minecraft world. One day, while I was watching Techno streams, I stood up and went, I want to do it. I already had a Twitch account for a while, so that part was easy enough to set up. I then downloaded Streamlabs on my toaster of a PC, set up my alerts, and went live for the very first time on May 4th of 2021. When I say toaster of a PC, it was barely able to run Minecraft while streaming. Minecraft! Even though my toaster was slow, it still worked, and I was able to stream. And surprise, surprise, Minecraft was my go-to game. Don't worry, I soon retired my toaster and got a new PC, which was good for me because I had my toaster for over 8 years now. With me streaming Minecraft, I wanted to try to get into an SMP, so I applied to one. I didn't get in, but I still made some new and amazing friends who are still with me to this day. I was mostly a faceless streamer when I first started out, and that's when I soon began discovering VTubers, like Sayu and Monarch. People who can stream faceless and show their expressions? That's so cool! That's something I wanted to do as well. But I didn't give it much thought or put too much effort into it besides just browsing on Etsy or other online shops occasionally just to see what pre-made VTubers they'd have. I didn't feel any of them called to me, and I quickly discovered while pursuing the human pre-made VTubers that I didn't want to be one, or even part human. It wasn't long before I realized what I wanted to be. I really liked wolves, and they have been my favorite animals since I was a little kid. They were one of my first two hardcore hyperfixations. So that brought me to my online mascot, which has always been a blue wolf that was inspired by Sonic the Hedgehog. I loved her dearly ever since I made her when I first started my time as an online artist on DeviantArt. Yes, you heard that right. DeviantArt. It soon became obvious to me who I wanted to be. I wanted to be an animal VTuber. Honestly, a concept I didn't come across yet. So I kept up my search, finding very little with pre-made animal VTubers. I soon let my searches dwindle down, and again, nothing felt right when I looked at the few wolves I actually did find. I kept streaming faceless though, and worked on growing my community. It was small, but I loved them. Then, June of 2022 rolled around. On June 30th, I was laying on my bed when I saw Techno upload a new video. I got excited. Then I saw the title. So long, nerds. When I tell you my world turned upside down and shattered that night, it did. I so clearly remember just seeing Techno Dad and just screaming no repeatedly as I bawled my eyes out. The person that inspired me to try my hand at becoming a streamer was gone. And just like that, I didn't know how to feel about that. I know to some people, it was weird to cry over someone you didn't even know. But this was someone I looked up to greatly. In those months between July and September, I didn't want to keep pushing my ideas and projects of becoming a VTuber to the back of my mind. Life is too short since I've learned in those months. I kept searching. It was then when I finally found the perfect artist to bring my VTuber to life. Her name was Shadow Phoenix Fox Art, or known as Sapphire on Twitter. And I discovered her pre-made fox VTuber on Etsy. I loved the style, and I threw caution to the wind and messaged her. It wasn't long before the first plans were set into motion. I chose a half-body VTuber model to save some money, and I gushed over every update, showing it off to all of my friends who'd want to see it. It was then my side of the work began. I worked on getting everything ready for my debut. I was drawing my gaming overlay and commissioning my first just chatting background. I even worked on a slideshow to figure out what I wanted to play and show off the updates in progress. It was around September 12th. I finally had her in my hands. Now it was time to pick a debut date. I was so excited that I picked a day that same month. Probably not the best idea because I had to speed run a project I needed for debut. My official debut day was September 28th, and I soon began advertising. So, what project had I tried to speed run before my debut? Why, my dear viewer, I'm so glad you asked. It was a lore video. I had only recently discovered lore videos not long before I set a debut date for my VTuber. My debut was in a little over 2 weeks. So what did I do? I speedran drawing it. Of course, with the help of some friends. And we made a small 2-minute lore animatic video. It was probably not the best or professionally made lore video you'll ever see, but I loved it. In my lore video, I was a wolf who lived in a lab. And due to all the experiments they had, my fur and eyes turned unnatural colors. One day, the scientists just disappeared, and I was able to make my way out of the lab and discovered what the outside world was like. I wandered and came across a cottage where a family took me in. I then at night took over their family computer and began discovering more about the world through the screen, and soon began to stream. The 2 weeks flew by, and I was so ready to show her off, and had so much fun. It was small as a really small VTuber debut would be, but I was just so happy to have some way to show my expressions without actually showing my face. I started variety streaming after the debut, playing other games outside of just Minecraft, and I slowly began to build my community more and more. I am now currently 3 years old at the time of this video, and I'm happy to say, I've discovered so many more animal VTubers. I'm not the only one! And I can't believe I'm still streaming and still doing what I absolutely love. It's been bumpy with college getting in the way, but I don't think I'd ever give up being a streamer. I've also finally jumped into affiliate, and my first affiliate anniversary will be coming up in December. Even with it being over 3 years, I still have so many plans I wish to do. As you see right now, and what I spoke about a little bit in the beginning of the video, one of these projects, I have finally reached completion enough to talk about it. And I got a really cool trailer to come along with it. I decided to write a webcomic. The story is an AU that follows my VTuber in a what-if story. What if Wolfie was never introduced to the family that took her in her lore video? I am so excited to bring it to you all on January 1st on Webtoons, and hopefully my very own website. I've been working on this project for over 2 years now, And I also have one more big project I'm working on, but shh, that one you'll have to wait and see. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me and listening to my first attempt at branching out in this type of video. Honestly, this seems very easy to edit compared to my video game episodes, so I'm hoping that I should be able to upload more in a timely manner. I also have so many more stories to share to you guys, from hyperfixations to even some job-based stories. Thank you again for sticking around this long, and I'll see you all in the next video.